And I want to show one more thing the president had to say today before we get to the discussion about the relationship with China. And this is his ability now to pick up the phone, as he put it.
So I think I know the man. I know his modus operandi. He's been, we have disagreements. He has a different view than I have on a lot of things, but he's been straight. I don't mean that it's good, bad, or indifferent. It's just been straight. And we, as I said, the thing that I find most assuring is he raised, and I fully agree, that either one of us have any concern, Mr. Ambassador, any concern about anything between our nations or happening in our region, we should pick up the phone and call one another, and we'll take the call. That's an important progress.
Rick Stengel, this is one of those demonstrations of the dynamic nature of these relationships, because I'm not sure we could have predicted a couple of years ago that the #1 agenda item in a summit like this would be fentanyl.
Well, I think that's probably because they couldn't get much agreement on bigger issues. I mean, I know it sounds a little boring, but the biggest deliverable, as we say it at the State Department, the biggest achievement of the meeting was the meeting itself. For the last year, year and a half, China has been trending away from the U.S., criticizing the U.S., talking about how relationships with the U.S. is impossible. America is encircling them. The fact that Xi Jinping came here to have this meeting is a gigantic achievement in and of itself. It makes the world safer. You talked about the mill-to-mill, the military-to-military agreement. That makes the world safer. That's a big deal. And it's great what they did about this, the precursor chemicals to fentanyl, but the biggest achievement was the meeting itself.
Ben, your assessment of what develops today in the United States-China relationship?
Well, you know, the relationship's been in something of a free fall. The United States has been imposing increasing sanctions on China, preventing the inputs of certain technology to the Chinese economy, obviously at odds on key geopolitical issues, a lot of tension over Taiwan. And it's pretty unusual for a year to go by without the U.S. and Chinese president meeting. I think what I take away from this, Lawrence, is that you have a war in Ukraine. That is in a very difficult circumstance. It's at a bit of a stalemate right now, entering almost into a third year. You have a war in the Middle East that risks further escalation. And I think the administration felt it was very important to indicate that this one really big relationship, the U.S. and China, probably the most important relationship in the world between two countries, that feels like it's headed towards a Cold War and frankly could be headed towards a more direct confrontation over something like Taiwan, that we're at least putting a floor underneath the tensions between our countries and trying to reestablish lines of dialogue to address issues we care about. The military-to-military context, what that is really about is preventing an escalation that could lead to war in the Taiwan Strait or the South China Sea. Fentanyl is something Americans care a lot about, trying to get China to do a little bit more to help Americans deal with what is a real crisis in our communities. There are a lot of other issues where we continue to have disagreements, including Russia, including Ukraine, including human rights. But I do think it sends a signal to the world and to the American and Chinese people, at least we're trying to talk these things out. And I think when the presidents talk like this, it sends a message down into their systems. Let's resume dialogue and see what we can get done diplomatically, even as we know we're going to be disagreeing about a lot of things.